Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked, and today I'm doing a discussion over Guards of Atlantis 2. This was a game that I generally would stay away from for a variety of reasons. One, it is mainly and designed to be a 2v2 game, and that, especially just with, current, circumstances, is kind of difficult to actually get going. So that's one reason. Another reason is that this is based off of a MOBA style that, is very popular from games like Dota and League, and I have never played those. I think I played League once for a skit whenever I was doing Mechs vs. Minions, and that was literally the only time I ever tried League because I had heard that fan base was just pure cancer. But for some reason, this game had me intrigued, because I do love the idea of kind of a bunch of unique heroes with completely different builds and play styles being, fought against, all fighting one another. And this game has tons of heroes. I think it's over 20. I should have counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. 32 heroes in this game. And that's with a bunch of expansions. So that kind of just always has me fascinated, because there's no rule set on who you pick. You just pick a hero you want to play, pair it with another person, and then you fight against it. So how does this, match that MOBA style gameplay? And I would say it does probably the best of any. I know there's another MOBA style game coming out, Onward, and we'll see how that works, but this does a pretty fantastic job of capturing that, because you have your minions out on the map as well as your heroes, and your minions are really kind of there to push the game forward. That you can win the game by killing the opposing heroes a certain number of times, but you can also win by removing the opposing minions in a given lane or in a given section. And once all of them are removed, you make a push, and once you make 2 consecutive pushes, then you win the game. So I really like the fact that they had managed to capture the use of minions without having them actually be really complicated to run. They do add or subtract to defense of your heroes, but they are mainly just kind of there to help move the game along. And then the way that each person's hero plays is just so radically different from one another, which is exactly how a MOBA should be. And you are going to utilize each hero based off their strengths and weaknesses. And the more you play this game, the more you are going to understand your opponent's strengths and weaknesses. Out of all the games that I own, I feel like none of them really capture more play styles. You don't get, this game requires a lot of play to be able to actually get good, which is kind of how a MOBA game is as well. That you can, it's you're going to get the gist of what a hero does. In fact, on the back of it, it just tells you kind of what their strengths and weaknesses are anyway. But on multiple playthroughs, you're going to realize, okay, here's what this person can do. How am I best going to counter that? I guess BattleCon does that when you understand how a fighter works. This kind of has that exact same feeling. So if you're looking for a game that requires a ton of replay to be able to actually kind of get good, and you almost want to play it with the exact same group, then and you also want a game that ends up kind of being a little sweaty, then this might be the game for you. So it's interesting, because this game isn't going to hit the table a whole lot for me. But every time that it has, it's always been an amazing experience, because how you are going to play is just going to be completely different based off who you are up against. and the situation that they put you in, trying to read your opponent, trying to understand what buffs that they have, what cards they have played, what cards you have played, and they're doing the exact same thing, all while you have a teammate trying to do the exact same thing as you, trying to sync up with the mind meld with one another, and then they're doing the exact same thing. So it is a highly strategic and tactile game, while also being one of the simplest games to learn. They have managed to capture, this feeling of a game and this high level of a game without it being an 80-page rulebook. And that is something to be completely commended for that. Because I remember, the first time I played it, I was like, oh, this is it? And then it had been a bit since I played it, so I played it again, and I was like, oh, okay, let me refresh myself on the rules. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. I kind of already remember how to do everything. It is absolutely fascinating. So, one really cool thing about this game that they've done is everyone has a certain number of cards, and they're all color-coded. You have red, blue, green, silver, and yellow, or gray and yellow. You pretty much, your gray and yellow are going to be your staples, and then your red, blue, and green are going to be the cards that get upgraded and changed as your hero levels up, because your hero levels up based off how, minions that they kill, heroes that they kill. You get money, and money is really only used to level up, unless there's some heroes that I don't know. They might use money for something else, but for the most part, it is used to level up. And when you level up, you take all the next level cards, which there are 2 of each color, so you take 6 cards, and you pick one of them. So if I want to upgrade my green card, I take one of the 2 green cards, and then I replace it. And what's really nice is if you like the green card that you have been using, then there's one card that basically is an upgraded version of that, or there's another card that kind of goes in a completely different direction. So you have options based off the builds that you're trying to do to help maybe counter who you're up against, to sync better with your teammate, or maybe you just want to try something different. So what's cool is that you take that card and you just swap it. Now you have an upgraded green card, but then you take the second card, and at the bottom of all of these cards is a permanent stat buff. Your stats are either attack, defense, initiative, or kind of area, or movement, or whatever it might be. And you slide it underneath your character, and now you get a buff to that stat. I really, really like that. I like the fact that both cards are useful. And sometimes you might actually be looking at a card, and you're like, I really like this ability, and I like the fact that it gives me 2 movement and lets me do this, but the bottom does give me more attack. So I might actually just take this for its attack and just replace my green with this one. So that is just such a very simple but important decision whenever you are playing this game. And what's also nice is the game doesn't kind of leave people behind. If you're just kind of being put in a really bad position, you're not killing a lot of minions, you're not killing heroes. One, if your teammate kills a hero, you get compensation money, depending on their level. So if the enemy hero that you killed was level 6, well, the person who killed him is going to get 6 money, but then your teammate will get 2 money and things like that. But if you also, at the end of a round, if you don't level up, you get, it's called a pity coin, but you get a coin. And so naturally, if you're not, doing so well, you're going to start being able to level up. It really does an awesome job of keeping everyone in the game relevant and still feeling like they're contributing into the actual game. So the leveling up I really, really enjoy, because each of these cards are multi-use in the sense that they could be used for defense, or they could be used for movement, or they could be used for their ability. And even the starting heroes, because they go up to level 4. Yeah, star value 4. Obviously, the game doesn't have you start with any of those. You start with, it recommends hey, here are these 2 and here are those 2. And from the get-go, when you are playing this game, you immediately can see why they pair those 2 together. The synergies between one another. And even then, after you're done playing your first game, it's like, oh, well, let's just try a different pairing. Let's try these same 4 heroes and swap matchups. Like, we can take, I think it's, I'd have to look through it. There is Brogan the Destroyer, Arian the Tidemaster, Wasp the War Maiden, and Zargotha the Change. Those are the 4 that it starts with. And they recommend that it's Brogan and Arian compared to, paired together, and then Zargotha and Wasp the War Maiden. And you could just play that and have a fantastic time. And you could play that exact same team up against one another and really feel like a completely different strategy. Because as you play more and more of this game, you're going to really understand what your opponents can do and what you can do. And that type of gameplay might not be for everyone, but there is zero luck in this game. So, I mean, whether you feel, superior by reading your opponent better than they read you, or you feel stupid because your opponent's reading you better than you're reading them, that's just going to be the kind of game that it is. So if you don't like those, if you like a little bit of randomness or chance thrown into a game, this doesn't have any of that. But what's also fantastic about the heroes is I just love how they give each hero, one, a backstory, who cares, but then also kind of like, here's what they do, here's their stats. Like, oh, Zargotha has maxed out attack, and some of them will say, will be in a lighter color. My assumption, I don't even think the rules explain that, but I think that the lighter color kind of is like based off of how they level up. But then they also have roles that they play. So Zargotha the Change is a tactician, pusher, disabler, durable, and sniper. Well, she's just all around, whilst Wasp the War Maiden is just a disabler, tactician, and sniper. And then you have Arian the Tidemaster, tactician, disabler, durable, and pusher, and Brogan the Destroyer, durable, disabler, pusher, and farming. So I don't believe the rules kind of explain what those roles are. Maybe they do, and I just missed it. I don't think they do. But, oh, they do. Wow, I just have literally never read that. Advanced Hero Selection. Yep, all of those roles, they do explain. So that's pretty cool. Maybe they even explain brighter sections of the stat bars are conditional, may depend on triggering specific card text. Fantastic. It is in there. So the heroes are absolutely fantastic. I have loved every single one that I've played. And the other amazing thing about this game is it's not long. You actually get to set the game length. Whether you want it to be short or long is dependent on how many push changes do you want. Short game is 3, long game is 5, and that basically means if one side wins a push and then the other side wins the push and it goes back to the middle, that will basically flip a token over. And that's 2 pushes in a short game out of 3, so whoever wins the next push wins the game. In a long game, you just go back and forth until 4 times, and then the next push wins the game. Because either you're going to win by doing 2 consecutive pushes, or you are going to win by defeating heroes a certain number of times. I really, really respect that this game is not overly long. Especially because the last time I played this, I was teaching new people. And it was just something that felt very intuitive. One person wasn't really into board games all that much. They were just kind of invited to a game day and hopped right into a game like this. And pretty much just got it right away. And then the other 2 are kind of newer into the board gaming since I started gaming with them. So I was like, okay, we'll just see how this goes. And it went extremely well. So the fact that this game is incredibly easy to pick up, not long to play. Actually, you determine how long it is, and has insanely high depth to the characters and to the playstyle is almost an anomaly, because it's kind of like that triangle of like, what is it? Free time, money, or sleep, or there's like you only have 2 of the 3. And this game is like, oh, do you want it to be simple? Do you want it to be fun, or do you want it to be short? You can only have 2. Well, this game has all 3. So I really, really like it. And it has actually it's from the group that after we were done playing it, I was like, should this be a staple? And I've never offered that to be any game. Normally I have so many games coming in that I kind of just want to keep cycling out new ones, so replaying a game is very rare. And I'm not even fucking anybody. I just buy games because I'm an idiot. So it's like, should this game be a staple? Because I feel like this would be an amazing one to always bring and start off a game day with. Now, there are a couple things, and these aren't really negatives, but they are things to be taken into consideration when looking to buy this game. One is they do something, this is, again, like I said, it's not a negative, but they do something very fascinating with the cards. And the rules specifically go out of their way to say, you either do all of the card or none of it. A lot of games out there are, if you can't do it, then do as much as you can. This game does not have that. It is very hyper-specific on its text, and if you, like, the example that they give is Brogan has a card that says, move forward in a straight line, 2 spaces, then attack an adjacent minion. The example they give is, oh, well, Brogan is already adjacent to a minion, so does he have to move? Yes, he does have to move. He can't willingly choose to not move and then attack the minion next to him. He has to move forward 2 spaces. So if he moves forward 2 spaces and can't attack anyone, he can't play that card. Well, he can play it for its movement or its secondary action, but he can't do it for, he can't just be like, oh, okay, I'll move and then just not attack. It's all or nothing. Now, there's a couple reasons why this can be a positive and a negative. From the positive standpoint, it makes second guessing or guesswork completely out the window. Unless you don't really understand the way a card is worded, then it could actually throw the game. But that's the positive. Like, this is what it says. I have cleave. Target a unit adjacent to you after the attack may repeat once on a different enemy hero. And the reason why I have this card, and I'm glad I actually happened to grab this hero, is because this says target a unit adjacent to you. Okay, if there's a unit adjacent to you, a unit counts as a hero or a minion. Cool. After the attack, may repeat once on a different enemy hero. That means that your first attack can be against a hero or a minion, but the second attack has to be on a hero. And so in this case, this says may. So you can use cleave and just hit a minion or one unit. There doesn't have to be a second unit next to you. But if there is a second unit, you can only use that secondary attack on a hero. So, that's kind of how hyper-specific these cards can be. And if you misinterpret a card, or if you, would rather have some flexibility on the way that your hero works, that could be a negative for you, just because you can feel very restrictive, because so many things are like, well, I need this to be in this way. And that's how, a lot of the characters, like Wasp the War Maiden is a disabler. A lot of her cards are hyper-specific. They could be really, really powerful if you are in the right situation. And that's how disablers are. It's like, man, I'm not really doing much, but man, oh man, whenever I'm actually in the right position, this is going to be painful. So that's one kind of thing to bring up. The second, and this is probably my biggest negative, and I get why they were doing it, but for some reason they really, really wanted that aspect of no communication. Almost like that Fog of War element of like, oh, I can know, how fast you going? I'm going medium fast. It's like, just give me the fucking number. Shut up. I've never been a huge fan of Fog of War, especially in cooperative games. So I usually, especially if the game is fully cooperative, where it's like, why do we have to, beat around the bush on what we're doing? Let's just play the game and the game should be designed to be difficult enough that we can openly communicate. This game almost wanted that thematic element on why you can't talk to your teammate. And you can talk to your teammate until cards are played. Because one thing I guess I haven't mentioned is you play 1 card per round, and you will only ever have 5 cards in your hand. So once you set a card down to play, and everyone reveals them, you cannot communicate with your teammate at all. So if you were like, oh, okay, you played that, if you go here, that means I can do this. That's out the window. You are not allowed to do that. And the reason why they say is, one, I guess it's to prevent quarterbacking, but that should be a group thing, a group decision, not a game decision. And the second is to act like that thematic element of like you're too busy playing and focused on your role that you don't have time to type in the chat on how your opponent just cost you the game or whatever it might be. Because if your opponent goes to do something, and I've had this in the last game I played, where there was a position I wanted my teammate to go to because it was going to work well, and he didn't, and I just kind of had to sit there and be like, all right, well, hopefully he's strategizing in a different way than I am. So that is, for me, it's a negative, because it's like I'd rather just be able to openly communicate with my teammate and be based off, how we're going to strategize to beat the opposing team. Because they also don't even allow, like, you can't even be like, oh, hey, should I play this? You're supposed to be very open about it. Hey, should I play Threatening Slash for its 5+ attack? Okay, hey guys, opposing team, here's what I am going to play. Figure out a way to counter this. I really don't like that. I think that you should be able to strategize with your teammate as really any way that you want, because it feels like the game is like, hey, how about you just don't talk to one another. Just don't play the game. I know you're on the team. Fuck your teammate. Don't tell them anything, because whatever you're going to tell them, you're going to tell your opponent. And that would work if you had like a lot of cards that were close to your chest. If you had a whole deck and they didn't know what cards you had. But this game isn't like that. On your turn, you have 1 of 5 cards that you can play at the start. And you take one of them, you put it down, you flip it, and it stays there. You're playing up to 4 cards. So your opponents can look over and see, they played their yellow. That is their highest initiative card. So we know that one of their 2 attacks is gone. Or, it's turn 4. They have their yellow and red. They cannot attack this turn. If I remember right, that means they have their blue and their green left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have their blue left, whatever it might be. No, because it'd be the 4th turn. So you'd have, their blue or their green left. Well, those are their defensive cards. How can I best counter that? So the fact that you are not technically allowed to show your teammate and just be like, hey, should I play this? Or like, oh, what do you got over there? Ooh, okay, if you play that, then that means I can try and do this, and that would work here. Now, this is a pseudo-negative, and I bring it up because it's technically in the rules, but you could easily house rule it and just be like, fuck it, just play the game however you want to play. If you really, really like that meta-ness, that thematic reasoning of why you can't talk to your teammate, then play the rules as written. Or modify it. Say, okay, you can't talk to your teammate when cards are flipped, but you can show them your hand. You can kind of be like, hey, should I play this? You can do that. Or just make it fully open communication. Whatever works best for your group. I just bring it up as a negative because they do really harp on it in the game. So, yeah, those are pretty much really my only 2 negatives, because everything else about this game is extremely clean. It is very straightforward. There is no randomness. It's not like, well, let's hope I hit. And it's funny because last game I played, I was not playing Zargoth. I was playing Wasp, the Ward Maiden. And she has a card that is kind of like this AoE, anything in this radius can't enter, and anything outside this radius can't enter, anything in this radius can't leave. And I was like, okay, this is going to be amazing, because Brogan has this open lane where he's going to run in and hit me, and he's far enough that he won't be able to do it. Cool. And I put it down, I'm like, sweet. And then we flip it, and the other guy, the guy who was playing, because I was playing with new people, was playing Arian the Tidemaster. He has a card that basically counters other people's skills. And he had never played that card this entire game. And then so he plays it, cancels my skill. Brogan comes in, hits me. I think just straight up kills me. And I was like, I didn't even think that you would have canceled that. I literally was in the perfect position for this card to be useful. And it didn't work. So that's just kind of like one example of great synergy between teammates and trying to counter one another. And that entire game, I was just getting wiped. Like, they were just really, for some reason, focused on me and leaving my teammate to kind of just run around and kill a bunch of minions. The other really cool thing about this is that there's no health. Like, heroes only have 1 hit point. So if you are hit, and it takes a group effort to try and defeat a hero because they have multiple ways to defend. So it's getting attacked is actually a double-edged sword. One, because if you don't defend, then you're going to straight up die. You only have 1 hit point. So if an attack goes through, whoop, you just go back. And I mean, you get to continue, like you just spawn back, but that is a point for your team, for the opposing team. The second is if you attack, or if you are attacked and you defend, you're down a card. You have to discard a card to defend, and you can only discard a card with a defense value, even if you have passive defense. It's like, oh, I'm surrounded by all my minions, and I have a passive defense of 3, so my natural defense is 5. And your attack is 5, so I defend. You still have to discard a card that has a defense value. And so you are losing a card. And if you're attacked twice, if you don't get yourself killed, you do not get a turn 4. And what's amazing about that, again, this is based off the last game I played, I was for sure thinking that I was actually going to die because I was being attacked multiple times. But just the way it was, the opposing team didn't have any more attacks, and the attack that they have, they couldn't get to me to do it. So, because I had just 1 card I had left remaining allowed me to move, and then that was it. So, it is just such an amazingly clean game, and every hero just plays radically different from one another. So, I mean, personally though, I have not played a difficulty 4 hero, so I don't know how they are. I don't know if it's like, oh yeah, level 4s, they're just kind of a little bit more complex. I don't know if they're hyper specific on what they want or whatever it might be on the difficulty to control them. But I mean, with just over 30 heroes, you have pretty much an endless supply of replayability with this game. Yeah, this might not be a game that always hits the table, but it is one game that, I mean, if I'm trying to do regular game days and this is going to be the staple, then this could be really like an all-timer strategy game for me. Oh, the other negative is, for some dumb fucking reason, Guards of Atlantis 2 came in a thin box. No idea why. I think, here's the thin box. For some reason, because I think the first edition, or Guards of Atlantis 1, had a big box for storage and stuff. And this reprint, they went with the narrowest box ever, and 5... It's almost like those Primal expansions, these 5 hero packs. So it's either you really size down and just kind of have a bunch of stuff in bags, or you have 5 expansion boxes lying around. It's so stupid. I really, really hate that decision whenever they could have easily just made a storage solution. Oh, and also the fact that, I just have the playmat out here, but there's multiple boards also. This is the one that they just kind of recommend you start with, but then there's one on the back, and then there's another playmat that I have. So there's 4 maps, and those obviously, you could take, again, the same 4 heroes that the game recommends you start with and play on a different map, and that's going to change how you're going to be playing those heroes. I just love these kinds of games. They're so much fun. This one is a little bit harder to get to the table because it requires 2v2. But, well, I guess I should say it doesn't require 2v2. You can play this as a 2-player game, but you're controlling 2 heroes. So it's 4 heroes regardless. It's not like they changed the rules or the maps or anything to account for 1v1. You are controlling 2 heroes, and I have done that. The very first time I played this game was at 2. And I think it becomes way more stressful because whenever you're playing as a 2v2, you're just relying on what your hero can do and trying to, you might talk to your teammate if you're allowed to, and then you might be like, okay, here's the situation. But everyone is doing that. Everyone's just focused on their one hero. And when you're playing as a 2-player game, you have to try and synergize. I guess there's a positive. You are your own teammate. So you can synergize, like, okay, if I do this with this hero, then I can look over with these cards, and I can do this and this, and I can look at the board. But I felt that it became way more stressful, a lot more strategic, because it's just you against one other opponent. So it could become, it just becomes a little bit more intense, I think. But it is completely viable, and you are able to play this game at 2. But I much prefer this game, honestly, at 4. Which is rare. Like, it's normally the other way around. Anyway, I can't think of anything else to talk about with this game, so on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to give Guards of Atlantis 2 a 9. I really, really like it. It's not a 10 because this is a game that will barely hit the table unless I'm able to consistently get game days where I bring it all the time. But it is a phenomenal achievement for a game of this caliber, and I really, really like it. So, that's it, everyone. That's my thoughts on Guards of Atlantis 2. Let me know what you think of the game in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.